Hi, folks. Welcome to the Mike Lopez TV Show. I'm your host, ACMike. We'll bring you all things Atlantic City, sports, dining, politics, entertainment, and so much more. Today's show, we're going to go round the bases and touch on a wide range of topics. First up will be Jacqueline Grace. Jacqueline is the Senior Vice President and General Manager of Tropicana Atlantic City, to catch up on the latest happenings at the Trop. Then we'll talk all about cybersecurity with Chris Filiciello, cybersecurity training specialist with Keystone Cyber Protection. And we'll close out today with Richard Helfant, Executive Director, CEO of Lucy the Elephant. Stick around. We'll be right back with our first guest. Hey, folks, welcome back to the Mike Lopez Show. So glad you're with us. I'm your host, ACMike Lopez. Listen, we have a very special guest for you today. We always say that, right? Special guest, we do, each and every woman. And man, that comes to our show is a special guest here. And we have a very, very special one. Listen, the VP, GM, Senior VP, that is, Miss Jacqueline Grace, Tropicana Atlantic City. Welcome to the show.
Hello, and thank you for that introduction. I appreciate being called special, so thank you for that.
There you go. Right now, I got to ask real quick, Jacqueline, Jackie, very professional.
Yeah, it's a great question. Jacqueline is my full name, but zero people on the face of this earth call me Jacqueline. Everyone calls me Jackie, so please call me Jackie, Mike.
There you go, Jackie Grace. Welcome to the show. Hey, listen, I know that you were here at one time, and when I say here in Atlantic City, Atlantic County, the great resort, the 401. Tell us a little bit about your background before we get into the today.
Yeah, sure. So to your point, I started off my career in gaming right here in Atlantic City. This is my second career. My first career, I actually worked on Wall Street for about 10 years, and then I went off to business school and got my MBA at the University of Virginia Darden School of Business, and decided to transition into the gaming industry because I'm just so enamored with it for a ton of reasons that we can talk about. And so I started my career right here in beautiful Atlantic City. I worked for Caesars Entertainment at the time and started off at Bally's down the street when we owned Bally's in slots, believe it or not. Then I moved into a marketing role at the Showboat Casino when we owned the Showboat then. And then I moved into a regional role supporting all four properties at the time. So Harrah's, Caesars, Bally's, and Showboat. And so after about 4 years being here in Atlantic City, I stayed with Caesars, but got a promotion and started moving around a little bit. Went down to our property in Baltimore, the Horseshoe Casino there, as the head of HR right after they opened, and then bounced around to our sister property right outside of Philadelphia in Chester, Pennsylvania. So the Harrah's Philadelphia, back to Baltimore for another 3 years. And then last year in September, made my way back here to Atlantic City as the general manager here at the Tropicana, and could not be more thrilled because it was truly a full circle moment for me. I love Atlantic City. I love the role and the position that the properties play in the community here in Atlantic City. And so I was happy to be able to come back to Atlantic City where I started my career.
And we're so glad that you're here. Listen, you're a leader. What you do is lead people. People do like to be led. People like to be direction, the proper, and speak to us a little bit. We're going to talk a little pandemic, but how important that is, because we're as we do this interview, we're with interns, Stockton University, and they're watching. And so touch on that, Jacqueline.
I will. So, and I'm going to say kind of two things. So to your point, as far as leadership is concerned, like, people want to understand the vision, right? If you are able to cast the vision, right, and cast the vision and make it plain, help people understand what they're doing, why they are doing what they're doing. How is it that this work that I do, how does it ladder up to a greater purpose? To me, that's ultimately what leadership is about, getting people to rally behind a common goal and then achieving that goal. And I'm going to take that another step further and say that true leadership, at least in my mind and my approach, is really about serving, right? Serving others. And how do I ensure, as I indicated, that the team members who do come to work here at the Tropicana, like, I am serving them in a way that helps them feel valued and appreciated. And then how am I serving our guests and ensuring that they're having a memorable experience? And then, as I indicated before, how am I serving the community? So to me, when I think about leadership, I really think about how am I serving others?
It's so good. And when you say serving others or whatnot, it always comes back to me because I love politics, they call it. And sometimes that's become a bad word, but it's public service, right? The real phrase, they're supposed to be public servants.
That's
Well,
right.
we can put that into a lot of different type of jobs. So Jackie, listen, we're going now, September 2020, it's the end of the summer and it's pumping, and then boom, all of a sudden, maybe 4, 5, 6 months down the road, here comes this pandemic, and you're put into this position. You got a great guy in the leadership role. We spoke about him briefly, Steve Callender, but tell us about that one, because this is like no other, right? And we're still dealing with it.
Oh, absolutely. So I joined the property in September of last year, which was only a few months after the properties reopened after the closure, as you recall, right? So the summer was a decent summer last year, all things considered, right? We were still at the height of the pandemic. But as you indicated, after the summer, so after Labor Day, as everyone probably recalls, the pandemic surged again. So I joined in the height of the pandemic, at least what we thought was the height of the pandemic at the time. And there were tons of COVID protocols, and that really was a large part of our job. And then as the fall progressed and we saw cases continue to increase, the surge really picked up, right? And the pandemic truly went to its height. So yes, to your point, it was a tough time, joining a new property and just being a part of this industry then. But here's what I will tell you. I am so proud at the resilience of this team. A large part of our jobs had really been about how do we keep our team members safe, and how do we keep our guests safe, and how are we providing an environment in which people feel safe. And that, heightened even more once we got into the fall. But I think we did a really great job at doing just that. And, coming out on the other side in May, when some of the COVID restrictions were lifted, is really a testament of all of the hard work and dedication. And again, the resilience of this team.
You have a great team at that. I mean, we are so blessed here in Atlantic City, whether it's Tropicana, Atlantic City, Caesars, Hard Rock, Bally's, Borgata. You're very, very leader, the forefront of this type thing, whether it's the pandemic or whether it's the $400 million in future investment. We don't have a lot of time here left, Jackie, but what I would like for you, and it's going to go to you, you take us to some of the investment, and then also the 40th anniversary that's happening. By the time this thing airs, it'll be sometime maybe mid-December, maybe early January. But as we go in, talk to us about that.
I sure will. So Caesars Entertainment has invested $400 million in capital in Atlantic City. That is a big deal, right? Somewhat unprecedented. And between all three properties, Tropicana, Caesars, and Harrah's, we will spend that $400 million in a relatively short period of time. Harrah's and Caesars has already enjoyed hotel renovations, and they have more hotel renovations going on. Harrah's has redone their casino floor. Caesars is doing that as well. There are new food and beverage amenities that are coming to both properties. And so again, super thrilled about that. Here at Tropicana, we've enjoyed lots of infrastructure stuff. So it's the stuff that's not as public facing or sexy, if you will, but it really is important. So elevators, escalators, roofs, all of that stuff. So we've invested a lot of money in that. That's not done. We're spending millions of dollars in getting new gaming equipment. So you're going to see lots of new slot machines on the floor. And then I'm going to tease this a little bit. We're doing a lot with our food and beverage footprint. So some of the restaurants that we have here on property, we'll be able to talk more about this soon, but we're spending some capital to reinvigorate those spaces. And I cannot wait to be able to tell you more about that. So that's that $400 million investment. And then 40th anniversary, Tropicana is celebrating 40 years, which is so fantastic this year. End of November is our official anniversary date. This weekend, November 19th, we are actually going to have a private event for VIP guests. We're celebrating our day one team members on Thursday. 54 employees here at the Tropicana are day oneers. And that really is a testament of the pride here at the Tropicana, of the culture here, the fact that this truly is a family environment. And so look forward to celebrating with our team members, with our guests, and it's going to be a fantastic time.
Jackie, I can't wait. Listen, you've been a neighbor of mine for the past 10 years, Tropicana property. Looking forward to the 40th year and many more after that. We got to get back together because I have a little radio show too that we'll be able to shoot the boo-boo maybe for a half hour, an hour if you want. And we can go that route too, though. But we really thank you, folks. We've been talking to the Tropicana Senior Vice President, GM. Listen, we love what you do and continue. And whatever we can do here at Stockton University or the ACMike team, please let us know. Thank you so much. Folks, stay right where you're at. Hello, folks. Welcome back to the Mike Lopez Show. I'm your host, AC Mike. Listen, again, here we go. Special guest, right? This guy is truly a special guest. Not only is a guest, an Atlantic City ambassador, but also a friend, a personal friend of mine, does a lot of things for the city, does a lot of things for the state and for his children. But also what he's going to be doing for us is going to be bringing us a little bit to the cybersecurity world. Chris, please, welcome to the show.
Hey, Mike, thanks for having me today. It's good to see you, buddy.
It's great to see you too. Listen, I wish we were in the studio together, but with Zoom and the technology and the pandemic, this is the way we're doing it. But we got some great information to give out to our listeners and viewers right now. Chris is a cybersecurity training specialist. Chris, talk to us a little bit about what all that means, because I just got it out of my mouth. I don't know how I just did.
Yeah, well, it's funny that you say, we're on Zoom, all this technology we've had since the pandemic. Which is actually one of the things that got me interested in cybersecurity. Since the pandemic, there's been over 300% rise in cybercrime, mostly because of people working from home outside of their work environment where it's more secure. And number two, just people in general are using the internet and their computers more, whether it's to conduct business or to use email, the internet. So cybersecurity is really starting to take off. We've heard about some of the more high-profile breaches in the past couple of years, the Colonial Pipeline being one of them, when the gas stations couldn't deliver gas to people up and down the East Coast, to the JBS meatpacking company. I heard about solar winds with our government being hacked. So unfortunately, businesses, large and small, are becoming more and more victims, and cybersecurity is starting to really take off. And to be honest, Mike, I don't think there's enough defenders out there right now to protect everybody. Anybody that's connected to the internet, like my boss says, if you are connected, you are a target. So it's a profession that is really taking off, and we could really use more young people to start getting involved and learning the skills needed to help protect us.
So, Chris, and I appreciate you touching on that two-part question here for you, and you can go with it. What you just said there at the end there, I know we had spoken off camera a few times, and there's so many jobs out there, and let folks know how and what type of jobs, and two, some of the protections we can take right now that we don't have a lot of time here, but some of the protections we can take as novice or just computer, or just like you said, folks who just pay their bills or whatnot off their computer and whatnot.
Sure. As far as the job openings, there's about 500,000 cybersecurity related jobs open right now in the United States. So if all you have to do is just Google cybersecurity jobs, you can find all different ways to get certified, go for certifications. You can watch YouTube videos. Even if you're not a technically savvy person, there's all sorts of jobs in this field. I myself come from a political, government, and teaching background, which really fits well with what I'm doing now. I'm doing security awareness training. And to your second question, Mike, there are very simple techniques that you can do and use when you're online. The hackers, 90% of the time, the way they get into your system or the way they get into your company's data is through phishing emails, which is they send you a nice juicy email that you want to click on. It looks so enticing. And all you have to do is click on a link, and you do, and then your system is infected. So there's ways to look at the URL by, if you hover over the link, there's a way to read the link without opening it. And there's just so many other different ways that you can do if you know these simple techniques to protect yourself and your company. Another big thing is password protection. we're so used to passwords. What we recommend is passphrases, and usually a phrase more than 12 characters. And if you go up 12, 13, 14, 15 characters, the amount of years it would take to actually break it goes up exponentially. So for example, 12 characters would probably take about 1 million years, let's say. If you go up to 15, it's probably about 50 million years, just by adding 3 more characters to your passphrase. So you really want to think of phrases and not passwords that are easily guessable.
And that's such great advice. Listen, there's so many of us out there that this is not even a joke, that, whether it's a birthday or name or maiden name, that doesn't work anymore with what's going on in the way these folks crack into our devices and whatnot. Chris, we're going to backtrack a little bit. You have an extensive background in political service, political and public service. Touch on that a little bit. We have a few minutes, but your involvement in Atlantic City, and that's where we got to meet when our friend Don Guardian, who is now, congratulations, Don, an assemblyman coming up in January, will be sworn in. But yeah, touch on that, because as a young guy, man, you were, I think, one of probably the youngest chiefs of staff of Atlantic City. I know that for sure, but in the state of New Jersey.
Yeah, well, I guess my interest in politics and government goes back to 9/11. September 11, 2001, I was a college student. My roommate woke me up and said, "Hey, look at the TV." I had just transferred from Jersey City, St. Peter's College in Jersey City, to the University of Kentucky. And it was my sophomore year, and my roommate woke me up. It was like 8:46 in the morning. Around 9 o'clock, and looked at the TV screen, and just my whole perspective on the world changed that day. And immediately after college, I got involved in politics and was interested in world affairs, and worked in the Bush administration down in DC. I moved back to New Jersey in 2009, worked in some politics in Ocean County, and eventually ended up in Atlantic City, first at the CRDA. As you mentioned, one of my colleagues was Don Guardian. And one day he said, I'm going to run for mayor. And I said, I'd like to help you out. And, I was going to do a phone bank or two for him, and it ended up being his campaign manager. He won and asked me to be his chief of staff. And for 4 years, from 2014 to 2018, I shared the office with the mayor and served the great people of Atlantic City.
So listen, Chris, we only got a few minutes left. I want to leave this for you. Where you want to take it, you take it, my friend. A little cyber, a little bit what you're doing. Tell folks what they need to know.
Yeah, so like I said, cybersecurity is becoming more in the news these days. Unfortunately, a lot of times companies don't talk about it. There's sort of a stigma sometimes with being hacked and having all your information out there. And there really is a lot that you can do. Two-factor, multi-factor authentication. A lot of banks require that now. You should really have that on your email, meaning that if you get a text message every time you sign into your email, and that really helps. It's like an extra layer of protection. So let's just say in the middle of the night, you're sleeping and you got a text saying someone's trying to open your email. Is this the password? Obviously that's not you because you're sleeping. So just really having two-factor authentication really helps. And as far as I would say, it's a great career for young people, people in college who want to find a career that we need help protecting our country. This is a great way to serve. You can even go into the military now and use your computer gaming skills and help defend our country against cyber attacks. So it's, something that everybody can participate in. Every business, everyone that's connected to the internet should have some kind of security awareness training and some kind of cybersecurity plan to protect their assets and their data.
Chris, thank you so much. Listen, folks, we've been talking to Chris Filiciello, cybersecurity training specialist and great friend to myself and the city of Atlantic City. Chris, we appreciate you. We look forward to having you back. Folks, stay right where you're at. Hey, folks, welcome back to the Mike Lopez Show. I'm your host, AC Mike. Listen, another special guest. You hear me say it all the time because they are special. It's the guests, the followers, the viewers, and all you folks that bring the Mike Lopez Show to life. And this is, gentlemen, that brings a lot of things besides the Mike Lopez Show to life. Rich, introduce yourself to the audience.
I'm Rich Helfant. I'm the executive director of Lucy the Elephant in Margate. And Mike, I think you're special for all you do for Atlantic City.
No, thank you so much. I appreciate that. I'll give you something then when we go down the elevator. No, listen, folks, this guy is Atlantic City born, bred, knows it all about here. Mr. Atlantic City right here, I really believe. You have a rich history, family history, work history, passion, whether it's volunteer and whatnot. We want to talk, but by the time this airs, the Miss America competition or pageant, I think you guys can still call it pageant.
We call it a pageant.
That's right.
It's
Good.
still a pageant.
It'll have been played out though, but just tell folks a little bit about that history and let them know what it's all about.
So the Miss America pageant was formed 30 years ago by John Schultz and Gary Hill, who are probably the most preeminent gay couple in the region. And John owned all of the nightclubs back in the day. And had this idea that all the people, not all the people, but a lot of the people who worked behind the scenes at Miss America never got to see the pageant. They missed it. So he thought, and they all came to his clubs after the preliminary nights and even after the finals. They came to his club and partied. So he thought, let's do a pageant for the people that missed it. We'll call it Miss America, and we'll do it as a fundraiser. So John was one of the founders of the South Jersey AIDS Alliance. So the money back then all went to the AIDS Alliance. The first year, it was a very modest show. It was done on the deck of Studio 6. And the winner got a Burger King crown. And he was presented with a bouquet of dead roses and the one ads of the Atlantic City Press. And the show has grown over the past 30 years. It is now a major contender. It's television ready now. And over the past 30 years, I'm so proud to tell you, Mike, that we have donated more than $400,000 to LGBTQ charities locally, regionally, and nationally.
And that's awesome. And as we talk today, that event, that pageant takes place at Mark G. Edison, the Hard Rock. So when you say it's evolved and it's somewhere special,
it's prime time. It
Right.
is ready for prime time. Joe Lupo has been so gracious as a host and a friend to us and to our community. And he wanted to move it from the Sound Waves, which was there 2 years ago. Of course, last year we didn't do it because of COVID, as you call it. And so this year he said, if we're going to do it, let's do it big. So we moved it to Edis. And hopefully by the time this airs, we can tell everyone that it was a sellout.
Right.
And we have a new Miss America and more money raised for LGBTQ charities. And on to next year. And hopefully by next year, television.
And it will be television ready, and it is television ready. And thank you very quickly for letting me be a so-called celebrity judge.
No, not so-called. You are, in fact, one of the 10 celebrity judges, and you are a celebrity. You really, all kidding aside, and you breathe this town, you bleed this town, and you love it, and it shows in everything you do, and it makes a difference, and we appreciate it.
I appreciate that, kind words, and guys like you and Gary and John, who I look up to and watch and ask for information. And, I come to you quite a bit because these guys and gals, they all know the city much better than I do, but all I do is try to share it on social. But now let's talk about this thing you have, this monstrosity,
My girl,
your girl,
yeah.
Another passion of yours. Rich, take us a little bit. And again, we don't have a lot of time, but we have enough to know. Give us the origins of Lucy and her move and whatnot, and then we'll go a little bit into it.
So as I said in the beginning of the show, I'm the executive director of Lucy the Elephant. And for those of you who don't know, and I'm sure everybody knows, Lucy is a giant elephant-shaped building on the beach in Margate, which when she was built was called South Atlantic City.
Right.
Lucy was the brain trust of a developer from Philadelphia by the name of James Lafferty, who built her in 1881 as a marketing gimmick to sell real estate. She was the first real estate marketing tool that ever happened anywhere. And she was very much responsible for the development of the Jersey Shore. Lafferty thought that if he could build this crazy structure, that people who are coming down to Atlantic City, which was a brand new resort founded in 1854. The train had just come down from Camden in Philadelphia. He thought if he could build this oddity, advertise in the Philadelphia papers that this giant elephant structure was here, that people would come down and see it. And while they were there, he could sell his real estate holdings. And that's really how the development of the Jersey Shore began.
And that's an awesome story. And when you talk about 1854, Dr. Jonathan Pitney, health and wellness, and that was part of it. Lucy was part of it. Now, moving forward, I mean, she's been around for over 100 plus, and you'll give us the exact number of years. but the restoration now, this is where it's near and dear to your heart. And I know we had one recently and we're about to engage in another. Talk a little bit about
the current project is called the Exterior Surface Restoration Project. And Lucy's 140 years old.
Okay.
She doesn't look it, but she's 140 years old. She's made out of tin. Most of the metal on her is tin. And as you know, tin rusts. Lucy sits 100 feet from the Atlantic Ocean. So paper will rust there. So you can imagine how much rust is on her. And we're at a point now where the architects and the engineers have said, you can't put any more paint on it because there's so much paint, layers of paint on it, that if you put any more, it's just going to bubble off. So we started to peel the paint away and we discovered that the metal is so badly rotted in so much of her surface that we have to replace every inch of the metal on her. And we're replacing it with a brand new alloy called Monel. Monel is a nickel and copper based alloy that has no iron. So in theory, it won't rust. That's the good part. The bad part is we had to shut Lucy down for 9 months to accomplish this task. And it's the most expensive thing we have ever done for her. It's a $1.9 million undertaking. The gift shop is going to remain open through the whole process, but the monument itself is closed. We were very fortunate to get a $700,000 grant from the state and a $500,000 grant from the federal government, from the National Park Service, but we're still $700,000 shy of the money we need to pay for this project. The project is well underway now. The scaffolding is up. She's all enclosed in a weatherproof envelope, so you can't even see her anymore. And hopefully when we reveal her on Memorial Day, she'll be a brand new Lucy.
And that sounds beautiful to me. And I can't wait to ride my bike down there. Very quickly, tell folks how they can donate to Lucy.
Absolutely, Mike. Thank you. So folks, you want to help us. All donations are tax deductible because Lucy's a 501c3. And you can donate several ways. You can either go to our website, which is lucytheelephant.org, or you can mail in donations to Lucy the Elephant, 1 Lucy Plaza, Margate, New Jersey, 08402, or you can stop in the gift shop and drop one off in person.
And that's a wonderful way to do it, to meet you and what you got out there and happening in Margate. I love it. It's a place. What's that elephant? I love just telling people I want to send them to you, and I do. And I don't know if they say that Mike sent them or whatnot, but folks, make sure you get on out there and check that out and support it. We are one of the few communities, beach communities, that have this type of community togetherness, whether it's Margate, Ventnor, Atlantic City, Brigantine, Absecon, that works together. And that elephant is only going to survive by the folks donating and loving
Absolutely.
it and accepting and embracing
And you know,
it.
Mike, I'm glad you said that, because to the visitor coming to our region, it's all Atlantic City.
Right.
We don't know geographic boundaries.
Right.
We're all part of Atlantic City. We all need to embrace Atlantic City because Atlantic City is the economic engine that feeds all of us. And Lucy is a big part of the tourism package for the region. And she's a must-see. She's older than the Statue of Liberty. She's the oldest
Wow.
roadside attraction in the United States. And she's the cutest elephant in the world.
There you go. You said it all. Close it, folks. We've been talking to Richard from over at Lucy the Elephant. Make sure you get out there and go see that beautiful monstrosity. She's going to be there for many, many more years, hopefully 140 more.
Hopefully, yeah.
Thank you very much, folks. Stay right where you're at. We'll be right back. Hey, folks, it's our belief here at the Mike Lopez TV Show that you, the viewers, and our guests bring the show to life. Thanks to each and every one of you for joining us. Special thanks to Stockton University and all our guests. To learn more about ACMike, follow me on Facebook at Mike Lopez, ACMike, LiveWorkPlayAC, and on Instagram at ACMikeNJ. Remember to live, work, play AC, and I'll see you on the 48.